Hey everybody. All right, so this is our live lesson on how to use complaining to actually score higher. You can see I'm using my phone today. Something is going on with my computer, so I'm going to use my phone. So the idea behind this lesson is that when people are asked about their daily lives, their family, their friends, their work, their school, in the exam, people tend to talk very positively about all of the things in their life, right? Everybody has a really close relationship with their families. Everyone has a perfect set of friends. Everyone loves their job. Everyone is happy with their major. People, for some reason, are pretty reluctant to share their complaints. And this is kind of a problem because it's not very natural. It's kind of human nature to complain about our lives. We often have problems, and listen to people talking to their friends. They're generally not talking about how great their life is, right? People generally talk about problems that they're having, right? They complain about their family members sometimes, or they complain about their coworkers a lot. So if you can talk about things that you normally talk about in your daily life, you're going to have a lot more success on the exam. You're going to sound more natural, first of all. Your fluency will probably improve. You will not be using one of the biggest problems with talking only positively. You end up using some kind of cliche phrases. Okay, when people talk about travel, everybody says the phrase, broaden your horizons, broaden their horizons. That's a correct phrase and you can use it, but it's more natural. It sounds more natural when you are, sometimes when you're talking more negatively, okay? The other thing is that it is interesting for the examiner. This is a factor of the IELTS that is not a factor for most exams. The IELTS has a real live examiner, a real person sitting across from you, okay? And to be honest, no one wants to hear about how great your life is, okay? The examiners get this again and again and again. We see so many students in a row talking about how wonderful their life is. It gets boring, okay? It's predictable. And that shouldn't be a factor for your score. But people are human, you know? Examiners are human. It's better to talk about something that would interest the examiner. Hearing about your problems, hearing about your complaints, much more interesting than hearing about all of the good things that are happening in your life. Okay? Like I said, that should not be a factor, but in truth, we're all humans, right? Including examiners. All right. Let's see. Was there another reason that complaints are good? Makes you sound more natural. Makes the examiner more interested. I think you end up using more natural language as well. All right. So a lot of reasons why. Also, sometimes we have more to say. A lot of students have trouble extending their answers for a full, 1 minute for part one, or for 30 seconds maybe for part one, a full minute for part three. One way that you can add more content into your answers is to talk about some of the negative things regarding that topic. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few examples here. Here's a question that is common for part one. Do you like your job? 90% of people say yes. If their friends asked them, do you like your job? I think it would be about 50-50. Okay, some people would say yes, some people would say, my job is awful. I hate my job. It's okay to hate your job, and it's okay to explain to the examiner why you hate your job. It's more interesting than explaining why you love your job. Okay? So, for example, now of course, I actually like my job, but I'll pretend that I don't. I'm a university professor. That's my normal job. I'm on vacation these days, hence the t-shirt. But let's see, do you like your job? How could I complain about my job? Here would be my answer to that question. So the examiner asks me, do you like your job? I would say, well, yes and no. It's nice in some ways. I get to meet a lot of people, I get to share some knowledge. But to be honest, I teach required courses in my school, which means most of my students don't want to be there. I get a lot of students coming in hungover or sleeping through my class, or they just don't take it very seriously. So sometimes I think I would like to be teaching people who really choose to be in my classroom. Sometimes teaching required classes in university is not really very much fun. There you go. You see, that sounded a lot more natural than if I said, yes, I love my job. It gives me the opportunity to pass on valuable information to eager students. It's boring and not very natural. Complain. Say negative things. It's nice. Let's look at another example. How about, let's see, something with my hometown. Okay, so here's a question. Do you often visit your hometown? Now, to me, when I hear that question, that is an opportunity to explain why I don't like my hometown. Okay, so let me give you an example. The examiner asks me, do you often visit your hometown? And I answer, no, I hate visiting my hometown. Everyone in my hometown seems to know me, but I don't really know them. I left when I was, finishing high school. So because my family still lives there, everyone in the town kind of knows who I am. And it's a little bit uncomfortable when I go home. Everybody's saying hi to me. I don't know who they are. Everybody seems to know my job and my level of development in my career. That seems kind of private to me. I don't want random people knowing about my life. So yeah, I don't really like going back to my hometown. Maybe it's because it's a small town and now I live in a big city and I'm just not accustomed to the small town culture. But yeah, I don't like visiting my hometown. There you go. See, I have so much to say. I could talk for hours about why I don't really like my hometown. Okay? Talking about how often I visit. I visit maybe once, twice a year. I don't really have much to say about that. But if I use that opportunity to complain, I have a lot more to say, and it sounds more natural and more interesting to the examiner. As I said, examiners are human. Talking about your problems, talking about things you don't like, it's going to be more interesting to them. All right? Like I said, that shouldn't matter, but come on, they're human. Well, here's another one. Do you think your hometown is a good place to bring up children? So I would answer this like this. Yes and no. It's safe. It's, there's not a lot of crime, so that's good. But there's a lot of drug use. That's the big problem in my hometown. Small towns often have a problem when it comes to drugs because life is really boring. Right? When you have a really boring life, young people look for ways to make their lives more interesting. Unfortunately, that often results in drug use or alcohol abuse. We have a lot of drunk driving. Usually, one or two high school kids every year get in a serious accident or even die from drunk driving. So it's not really a good place to bring up children, no. There you go. Okay, complain. Say negative things about your life. It's okay. Once you start doing it, you'll see how much more naturally your ideas come out. This is what we do in our native language. This is what we do with our friends. We complain. We talk about negative things. Let's do one more example, shall we? Let's pick another topic here. I'm choosing all part 1 topics. But for part 3, anything related to culture is a good chance to criticize your own culture. Okay, I have a lot of criticisms of my own American culture. Part 3 is a chance for you to share all those problems that you have with your culture. Don't just talk about boring positive things. Let's see. Okay, here's a question about birthdays. Do you enjoy your birthdays? Well, I guess birthdays are fun in some ways. I get some gifts. I definitely enjoyed my birthday when I was young. These days it's not that special, and it brings a lot of pressure. The people close to me feel a lot of pressure to make a special day, and I feel a lot of pressure to enjoy my birthday in front of them. You know, it's kind of like when you open a gift and you know you need to react in a way that shows the giver that you appreciate the gift. I don't like that kind of pressure, and I feel like birthdays and really all kind of holidays bring up a lot of pressure in my life. It's kind of stressful, to be honest. There you go. Okay, birthdays, something generally people talk about in a positive way, but if you have complaints, if you have problems with anything that's brought up in part 1, use that opportunity to complain. Okay, trust me, your language use will become more natural, you will have more things to talk about, and the examiner will be a little bit less bored and see you more as a human. You know, one thing that the examiner is really looking for is, do you have a sense of comfort in the English language? Are you able to speak comfortably? And when you only talk about positive things, it sounds a bit rehearsed. It sounds like you wrote down those ideas weeks ago, memorized them or put them in your brain, and now you are just reciting what you memorized before or what you practiced before. When you complain, it sounds like it's coming directly. It sounds like it's spontaneous. And that's a lot more impressive to the examiner. It makes it look like you really have a natural command of the language. All right, so we're going to leave it here, and I want to thank you guys for coming to the lesson. I know this is a short lesson, but I think it's really important that you speak as naturally as possible, and that means don't be afraid to complain sometimes. All right? Well, thanks a lot, you guys, and we'll be back with another live lesson next week. We'll keep doing at least 2 every week. I'll try to do as many as possible, okay? All right, send me a message if you have any problems or questions. Talk to you later.